Okay, so we're back. I do not have, I was going to try and write on the PDF of our lesson 3 notes, and I don't see how to set that up, and I don't want to put off talking through the lesson 3 notes and getting that uploaded for you. So we're just going to talk about the notes that are in lesson 3. I hope that they will help you as you write out the notes, explain some of what we would do in class. So lesson 3, we are in the red Jenny book here. We look at the conjugation of sum in the present tense. We also look at how to use sum. We look at ablative, place where. Now, we actually took this note in lesson 1 because my lesson 1 notes are from the purple book. I have to fix that. The good news is we're a little ahead, but I'm going to explain it again here anyway. And then our last topic for lesson 3 is questions. I know that it looks like we're covering a lot in one lesson. The verb to be, which is sum, we've already learned 2 of the 6 forms. We know how to say he, she, or it is, there is, est. And we know third plural, sunt, there are, or they are, or a plural nominative are. So we're filling in the rest of sum and then adding these couple other uses. So first let's look at sum. Sum, the verb to be. Now, we talked a little last lesson that there are 4 principal parts in Latin. If you learn a verb, you learn the first, second, third, fourth principal part and the meaning. Here, what would the meaning be? It's the verb to be. If you learn those 4 forms, we'll learn rules that use all 4 of those, and then you can make every form in Latin. Eventually, by the end of Latin 2, you'll know all the grammar there is to know, and then you'll be ready to read any Latin author. It takes practice, but you'll have the knowledge to do it. So the first principal part, you may remember from first conjugation, is the first person singular active indicative form. So for the verb to be, it's I am. Esse, the second principal part, is the infinitive. Now the infinitive in English is the to form of the verb. To run, to call, to love, to be. Esse, to be. Now, we have no RE here to cut off. It's an irregular verb. We just have to memorize it. So let's look at our forms. Just like a regular first conjugation verb, we have singular and plural, first, second, and third person. Now remember in English that is I, you singular, he, she, it, or there, because that's a special one for is, or a nominative singular. In the plural, we have we, you plural, and they. And how do we conjugate the verb to be in English? I am, you are, he, she, or it is, we are, you are, they are. So it's irregular in English too. We've just known it so long, we didn't even know we memorized it. So what are the forms in Latin? Sum, es, est, sumus, I didn't really leave myself enough room there, did I? Estis, sunt. We knew est and sunt. Now we can see that some of the forms seem to draw off of that first principal part, the sum. Sum, summus, sunt. While others seem to draw off of the esse, the infinitive, es, est, estis. In all the cases, we still find our personal endings are correct. This is our first example of, remember our first person was O or M? This is our first M example. We'll get others, but this is our first one. O or M, S, we still have our S. T, still have our T. Mus, tis, and T. So our rule still applies, but the formation is irregular. And you can practice this at home by chanting it. Sum es est, summus estis sunt. Sum es est, summus estis sunt. Now, we know a few things about the verb to be already. We know that we can have a nominative and then a form of the verb to be and then another nominative. We know that the nominative on this side is called the subject and the nominative on this side is called the predicate nominative. And that is true in Latin and in English. So I might say, the boy is a teacher, boy subject, teacher, predicate nominative. Puer est magister, the boy is a teacher. We don't know puer or magister, but trust me, that's the boy is a teacher. What else can we do? If we put the form of to be first, we translate it as there is, or sunt would be there are. There is a girl. You look out the window. Who do you see? Est puella. There is a girl. Sunt feminae. There are women. And then we have a third kind of use. We have our subject, a form of to be, and then we have a predicate complement. It's called a predicate because it sits in the verb. When we put something to the right of the verb, we say it's sitting in the predicate, especially with the verb of being. Predicate complement, what might that be? In the field. I have a prepositional phrase. So I can't just put it in the nominative and have nominative equals nominative, subject equals predicate nominative. I have subject equals location, predicate complement. It tells me more about the subject. That's enough of to be for now. Review the notes, get the notes written, let me know if you have any questions. So, in the field, perfect segue. Ablative, place, where. Sounds like a fancy name. It's actually quite explicit and as short as possible. So ablative tells us that it goes on our ablative page, and this is a use of the case ablative. What are our ablative endings? Long A and long IS. So whenever we talk about working with ablative place where, the noun that's in the ablative for the time being will end in a long A if it's singular or a long IS if it's plural. We'll learn other ablative endings. Next lesson we learn masculine nouns. And then lesson 5 we get neuter nouns. They'll have ablatives too, but for right now, long A, long IS. So we are going to learn two prepositions that can take the ablative to answer the question, place where. Where's the girl? In the field. So in plus the ablative tells us in, on, or at in English. Sub plus the ablative tells us under or at the foot of. What would at the foot of? Did you see the girl? She was at the foot of the city wall. That's being right up close, but not inside of it. That's the description. Under, sub terra. So sub plus terra, terrae. We need the ablative, long A. Underground, subterranean. We get subterranean from subterra, underground. How about in the farmhouse? In villa. Whatever the object of that preposition is, goes into the ablative. We'll learn others that take the accusative, but this one takes the ablative. And when it takes the ablative, it answers where is the object. It is in, that wasn't well stated. It answers where, the place where it is. In the farmhouse, where are they? In the farmhouse. Not everything does in work for. In, insula. Now, if I said I was in the island, that would be like subterra, to be in the island. So in insula actually would be more like on the island. So it depends on the noun, whether we use in, on, or at in English. In villa, in insula, in the farmhouse, on the island, subterra, underground. One more note. I'm actually, see, I use special paper to make these. So I'm going to write right over here. And we're going to talk about how we make a question in Latin. So if I have a sentence, let's see if we do two kinds. So I have one little box. We'll see what we can do. So if I have a statement, let's say the woman, femina, est in silva. Femina is my subject, the woman. Est is, now I have an ablative place where? In the forest. Now what if I want to say, is the woman in the forest? I pull my verb forward, est, and I add an enclitic, fancy word, enclitic. What it means is that I add a couple letters to the end of the word, and it's the same as a question mark. Estne is the woman. Ooh, I started to write it in English. Est femina in silva. Is the woman in the forest. Estne femina in silva. Ita, yes, femina est in silva. So this is a yes or no question. We write the statement first. It's clearer. Then we know we get our subject, verb, direct object, subjective complement, whatever we need with it. Then we pull that verb to the front of the sentence, add the ne, and then add all the rest of our words. And we've changed it to a question. We also learn how to make two other kinds of questions. We have quid, which means what? I might say quid est. Quid est, it's a book. Est liber, we don't know book yet. But quid est, what is it? What is it? Quid est, stylus, pen, stylus. We will also learn ubi, which means where. Where, W-H-E-R-E. So if I say ubi es, where are you? In ludo, in school, in ludo. Ubi es. You might also say, where is the woman? Ubi est femina. Ubi est femina. So I hope you find these notes helpful. The discussion through the material. If you can get started on your lesson 3 notes before we meet next week, I think you'll be happy. If I look at the vocab words, we've already started working them. So we're actually a little ahead. Europa, Germania, Hispania, we said the place names were a little easier than some of the others. Nauta, sailor. Porta, some of you have noticed, portas, accusative plural, looks a lot like portas, you singular carry. So we got to be on the lookout for that. If we have another verb, it's probably not portas the verb. It's probably the direct object. Roma, terra, subterra. Tuba, we are the road. We are going to go to Bangor via the Bangor Road. Wila, village, farmhouse. Quid, what? Ubi, where? Nay turns it into a question, and that brings us to que. Que is another enclitic, except it means and. And in English, we kind of have something similar. We would say peanut, butter, and jelly. If we were to say that in Latin, we would not use an et. That would be something, something, and something. Peanut butter and jelly, we would put the que on the second word. So that que tells us that the word before is attached to it. We will often see SPQR to stand for Latin, for Rome. Senatus populosque. The Senate and the people, like peanut butter and jelly, all one, of Rome. Not the Senate and the people of Rome, the Senate and the people of Rome. Big difference. I know it may not sound like it, but it is. That wraps up the notes. I will see you in class. I hope you have a great weekend.